of Heat 3B. A minute 20 seconds to go now, and for the first time in a few weeks, all the drivers are not very, very early. Steve David can slow down from where he is and make a nice start at about a minute 10 seconds from now. It'll be his first good one of the weekend, unfortunately, and Dave Villwock is going to pull up behind him. J.W. Myers and the Lumar must have had a problem, Mark. They have not made an appearance, but they should be in the final heat anyway, having won 2 heats earlier in the weekend.
Well, you got a point there. Jeez Louise, yeah, if they just don't run this heat, they get in the final, it might save their equipment and save JW's body just a little bit, so could be the case. Now, I see him trying to leave the pits, but I don't think he can legally do that. We're under 1 minute, aren't we?
Well, the lid is open on the canopy, so I think JW is out of it. We have 35 seconds to the start. We have 2 boats up and running. The Oh Boy Oberto got the inside rather easily from Dave Villwock, who is behind him and to his right. Steve David just moving through turns 3 and 4 now. He has 22 seconds till the start of the race, and he should be able to go slow enough to make that work okay. Dave Villwock will come up on his right. Now, Villwock will have more boat speed, but I'm not sure in these conditions that that's such a good thing, Mark.
Oh, I was just thinking that myself. You always want boat speed. I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, this is a tough call. Steve David's going to have his hands full.
Whoa.
Like you said, Steve David had talked about having a rough water boat. Let's see what he's got.
I was just about to say there's the start. We were looking right at the bottom of Steve David's boat as he approached that dog leg at start-finish. Now we have Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto leading the Budweiser, and look at Villwock bounce. He's way out of the water.
Man.
But he lands it okay. That had to get his attention.
Oh,
wow.
Geez, you got that front wing to help control it, but boy, he's almost stuffing it. He came into this first turn and dove it in hard. Oh, man.
Now the driver can control how much he wants to fly the boat a little bit with the wing in the front. If you settle it down too much, you can deflect off a wave the way he did right there.
Yeah, you can react hard. I mean, that was close, boy. I'm telling you what, these fiberglass boats can be strong, but this is a situation where you could actually blow the hull apart.
They've run half a lap. Steve David needs a lot of points. He has not had a good weekend in the Oh Boy Oberto. Dave Villwock doesn't. He has scored the maximum. He has secured the 2004 O'Doul's National High Point Championship. He's got to be wondering right now the best way to get this boat around a couple of laps and get it back to the pit area so he can go for it all in the final.
I hate to say it, but he's probably thinking, what for? You know, it's not a way to win a race just to pull back in, but my gosh, you got to have a boat left by the time you get to the final. So, man, this is going to be some interesting interviews after this heat.
Steve David now with a nice lead over Dave Villwock and Miss Budweiser, who again flies it very high up in turn 3. That's the bad spot. Now watch Steve David as he comes down to cross start finish at the end of lap 1. Has it handling pretty good right here, but this is where both boats had problems last time by. And then we see some water up over the front of the Oberto. Got through the slop pretty good that time, though, Mark, and into the corner.
Well, you know what? I was just thinking here, Steve, that I was down on the dock earlier, and the docks are really bouncing. Not that short chop. It's like there's some swells are coming in here, too. So what do we got on the monitor? Bud's just looking like he's
missing a wing.
Oh, man. Yep, parts are flying.
And there he picks the right side way up. Boy, Villwock, I have never seen his boat ride this badly, and indeed, Steve David's old boat, the Oberto, is doing better in these conditions than Miss Budweiser.
Did he have the rear wing on when he went out? I'm trying to decide.
I thought so. I didn't notice it missing before.
Because it's tough. If a rear wing comes off, usually your uprights will break too, and they're standing up pretty good. So, wow, that's something. I didn't even see it come off.
Well, you got to watch them closely here, Mark. We're just seeing all kinds of action from these race boats way up out of the St. Clair River, and then landing.
You can see, excuse me, Steve, you can see how much the water is splashing off the front of the sponsons. That is just not a good thing. You hit those recover areas, secondaries and the primaries, we call it, that's like hitting a brick wall. I mean, you're going to blow the fiberglass out if you're not careful.
And if the nose were any lower on a couple of those landings, you got a big problem because you're going to stuff it and come to a sudden stop.
Well, I'm glad we have air masks, so we can breathe if we are underwater. Thank gosh for all the safety equipment and all the years of technology the boys have put into these boats to keep them safe.
Villwock has spun the boat. Dave Villwock is now going the wrong direction on the backstretch.
Oh my gosh, that had to just snap it. That got his attention, boy. That was a nuts one, I'm telling you. Now it put the fire out. So what a rough day on the race course for the Budweiser.
Steve David has finished his second lap and is in the first and second turn, heading up the backstretch. Villwock's boat appeared to hit a big hole and just turn around, Mark.
They will. That left sponson will grab. That's what I mean. If you can't keep that thing really going and get up across the top of those waves, it will catch the inside air trap, we call it, on the sponsons, and it'll just actually jerk the steering wheel right out of your hand. 'em. So obviously he swapped ends. Wow.
Now he has restarted Miss Budweiser. just as Steve David comes up behind him in the Oh Boy Oberto, and Dave Villwalk and the Miss Bud are going to be lapped. You have to wonder, Mark, about damage to that boat. As hard as he hit, as sideways, you can easily tear up a sponson, and that might be something that couldn't be fixed for the final. So we'll have to get a look at Miss Bud if and when Dave Villwalk gets it back to the pit area. Steve David having a little better time of it. He has a quarter of a lap to go now to finish this lap, and that'll make 3. He'll get the checkered flag, and he can go back to the pit area. And wouldn't Dave Villwalk love to be there right now in Miss Budweiser? That's as rough as I've ever seen, Mark. I know if you look back on your career, you can think of some rough spots. Well, I don't remember anything like this.
You know, I was just thinking over in Hawaii. Remember, we had some big white caps over there. Lake Mead down towards Las Vegas has always been a tough one. Kelowna, I could kind of go on, but boy, this, I think, is an all-timer. I have never seen Ken Muscatel come back to the dock. I mean, you never see that. He just always keeps going. Another thing I found out about the cowling on the U2 boat, Jim Harvey's, it's 100% intake. So any water splashes up will go in there. He doesn't have a shelf to deflect it, so that's what's putting the fires out on these boats.
Steve David swung over wide right in front of the large crowd gathered here in the big park, which is a great viewing area in downtown St. Clair. He comes back to the pit area looking pretty good in the Oh Boy Oberto, and we'll send Mark Evans down to get a word with him. Meanwhile, we check on Dave Villwalk and Miss Budweiser, dead in the water at the top of the backstretch after a couple of attempts to restart the thing, and the Hydrocroft rescue team on their way now to see if Dave Villwalk indeed needs some help. Let's go down to the pit area where Steve David is safely back to the dock, and he's with Mark Evans.
Oh, golly, that was great.
Oh, man. You know, it's always good to have a win, but my gosh, you know, we were talking about your feelings earlier. Hopefully they're still in, Steve, but congratulations.
Well, I got to thank Reggie Fountain from Fountain Power Boats and Black Thunder for building me a great offshore boat today. That was horrendous out there, and I know Bud gave it their best, and it just, this good old boat is really good in rough water, and I just having a ball. So thank Oberto, thank the people from St. Clair, the banks that have helped out, all the local sponsors. They have a great race out here in St. Clair. Unfortunately, it's a windy day, but it's a wonderful town, wonderful people. Oberto will be back next year, and we're going to do better for them.
Well, thanks for hanging in there, Steve.
You bet.